The strongest tool that will help you get closer to your goal. Hi guys, welcome here to another video here in the series. I wanted to get started with some of the answers that I got in the survey that I did about what have you tried so far and where your current status is. Some people have said that they read a lot, that they have collected wisdoms and tools in changing their mindset, trying to enhance their skills, reading a lot of books, trying everything that shows up to see if it sparks their interest, reading, doing training, self-discovery, checking out triggers that have affected. That's also one of the points, one of the answers. Again and again, going into silence and meditation, following the impulses. So many different things, but none of which have completely fulfilled me was also one of the answers. Understanding me, nature, the world, and the cosmos, and what moves us to read more, observe, and search teachers. Soul plan reading was also one of the answers. And a lot also following a lot of different courses, reading books, searching within. And in the current status, a few of the answers that I got was have a whole collection of tools, again, at the service, but only collecting them instead of using them. Actively trying new things, searching for something that really resonates, trying to find a true passion, trying to find answers to the questions, what is really like coming from within, or what was, doing something because of someone else, seeking answers. One also said, find out more about myself, which we already covered in the first videos. I have an idea what I want to do, but I'm afraid of leaving the comfort of what I know. Also, one very typical answer, voicing my purpose and showing it the way I live, trying to get more happier in life. Now, if I read all these answers and if I look deeply into what is behind that, and this is why I chose to name this video, one of the strongest tools that's going to help you is, and again, I'm going to explain it to you also through my own point of view of what has happened in the past for me. Because I think if you remember from the first video, one of the things that happened in my life is that I was doing something, then I realized it's not mine, and then I was doing the next thing. And when I started my spiritual path, I started to learn this tool and then that tool, and then that was okay, but something was missing, so I did the next tool, and then that was okay, and then something was missing, so I did the next tool. So you get all those tools and you read all those books and you go into trainings and you do so many things. Just because we also talked about it in the last video, one of the things for starters is to actually acknowledge that you've done those things, and each one of those things got you a little bit closer. Because probably this is something that probably happened to you the same as it did to me. I told you that I learned to do shiatsu massage, and maybe I'm not working as a shiatsu massage therapist right now. And it's the same with the lomi lomi massage. I'm not working as a lomi lomi massage therapist right now, but the process that I went through, the things I learned about myself while I was doing that, while I was learning that, was so important and crucial to my process of becoming who I am today, right? For example, the shiatsu massage was something that brought me closer to Asian philosophies, to understand my ancestry a little bit better, because, I have Chinese ancestors in the background. And with the Lomi massage, I know I was doing it for other people, and I know how important that work is. Maybe if you've seen the feedbacks on my website, one specifically talks about is a feedback to a work that I did with one of my clients with a Lomi Lomi massage, and how that changed and helped her going through her process. But on the other hand, and that's the thing, when we learn those things ourselves, we also go through those processes, and it brings us closer to understanding ourselves. It takes out layers of us. So again, like we said in the last video, it's about acknowledging the things that you've already done. So acknowledge that even though you've read so many books, you already did. So those books were crucial in your process, and you already took out things, and you probably learned things that you can use on your clients in the future or in your work in your future. That's also one thing that I want to just quickly, throw in there. That of course I'm always using myself as an example for you, because it's the easiest way for me to do it as a coach. But you can use all those things if you have a normal job, right? If you have a normal job that you like. And in this case, I always like to take my sister as an example. She has been a social worker most of her life, but has also gone through certain spiritual practices with me. We had a couple of paths where we were intertwined, and her thing was to use those spiritual practices that she learned in her work. So she acknowledged when she was using those tools with the people she was working in her social work environment, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's like, it doesn't always, just because I talk a lot about how I became a coach, it doesn't mean that you have to implement those things within a coaching set. It's about using it for whatever work you do, because it's all intertwined. You are the one person that does everything, right? And if you create a purposeful work, no matter if it's a 9-to-5 job or if it's a self-employed job, as long as you're doing it for yourself with a purpose, right? But back to the main thing, what I was seeing here, because that was something that I was doing as well, trying to learn here and there and here and there. And of course, a certain momentum also has to do with not being afraid of actually coming out and doing what you're meant to do, what you're supposed to do, sharing your gift with others. But before that, before you actually get to that point, and now this is going to be like your strongest tool for whatever you do in the future, is actually to make the decision that you're going to do it. It always starts with a decision. And even if you say, you might say, yeah, but I've already taken the decision, I want to do it, but I'm so afraid. Don't worry. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to still have this block or that block. But if you truly take that decision, embrace that decision, and live that decision on a day-to-day basis, really implement it as strong as possible and stick to it. I'm not saying that you're not allowed to change your decision later on. You're always able to do that. But the first step is actively creating that decision, because that decision changes your focus. We've already been speaking about how to change focuses into different directions. And if you actively decide and say, okay, I'm doing this now, every day, ask yourself, okay, I'm doing this now. It can be like we said, like the little steps, for example, to overcome a certain fear. And you can say, okay, I make the decision right now that I'm doing it today. It could be that something happens throughout the day and you go like, oh, no, I don't know. I don't feel good enough to do it right now. And then it's okay. But then you're actively making the decision of not doing anything that day. It doesn't mean forever. It's just for that day. Remember, we were talking about how we sometimes don't take breaks or feel bad for taking breaks. If you make an active decision that today you're just going to do nothing and enjoy and just, be relaxed with yourself and, and I don't want to call it do nothing, but you know what I mean. It's like, allow yourself to just rest, to give your body, mind, and soul a resting day. If you make that decision and if you stick to it, you're not going to be feeling bad for it. And I'd like to give you another example that I had with my biggest fear, because one of my biggest fear in life was actually the ocean. I was afraid of the ocean. And actually even open waters. Like for me, it was open waters out there, could be a lake, could be a river. Whenever I would think of stepping into one of those or swimming in one of those, I would always get this horrifying picture of someone or something pulling me down. And this is very weird because when I grew up, when I was little, I was a very good swimmer. I even had a phase between 10 and 12 where I was doing water ballet. So I'm really, I know I am a very good swimmer. I love swimming. But the older I got, the worse the whole fear got. So what I did was that, and this actually happened because it wasn't even purposefully, in a way that, because I have to admit, in the beginning, it was just, I wanted to spend more time with my cousins, and I knew that they had learned scuba diving. And this is how I actually initiated myself into saying, okay, every year I'm going to start taking care of a fear. Because like I said, I just wanted to spend more time with my cousins, and I knew they were scuba diving. So I wanted to learn scuba diving, and I started going into a scuba dive center for my training. And some of you might know, part of the first trainings you get are in a pool. And that's where I had my first panic attack underwater. So I realized, okay, this is really strong. So I have to do something about it. And, but I said I wanted to. So I had taken the decision. I want to learn scuba diving. I want to overcome this fear. That was just the decision. So I had this bad day in the pool. Somehow I managed to go through the whole thing. Then we got out. And the thing is that even though I was afraid, because I had made the decision, I want to overcome this. I was actively making steps for it. That's why I'm saying, when you make a decision, stick to that. So I was actively making small steps. So I did the training there. Then we went to Ecuador to visit my family there. We had the first scuba dive day we had there was not wonderful. It was really low visibility underwater. So I got down there and I was like, nah, I'm turning back. I signed the guy, sorry, and I got back out, and I made the active decision, okay, today's not the day to keep on doing this. So I got out of the water. I still have the big vision. I want to overcome this fear. And I made that decision. So because that dive wasn't so great, the scuba dive instructor said, come on, let's try again in 2 weeks. I really love for you, especially like for me, he wanted me to have a good dive. So what happened was, because I had made the decision, I was like, okay, let's give it another try. So we went again 2 weeks later, and it was amazing. It was a calm day. We had underwater visibility of over 25 meters, which is, I think it should be in feet. It's 60 feet sort of. Visibility underwater was really beautiful. And I had an incredible dive that day. So it was okay. Let's go back, Went back to Germany. I'm not a scuba diver in Germany because it's too cold over there. So I kept on, because I had made the decision. It's not that it was like, back then it wasn't integrated in me, like I have to do it today, but it was something that was still in the back of my head. Every now and then I would think about it and work on it, do meditations. A year later, I decided to go to Portugal. And I said, okay, what I want to do is I need to learn more about the ocean. So I want to learn surfing. And of course, what happened was the surf instructor, we had a moment where we were supposed to go into the water, and I was like, nah. I wasn't even knee deep in the water. I was just like, I have to go back out. And I remember the surf instructor being he was like, oh my God, why do you want to learn this if you're so afraid of the ocean? And I'm like, because I want to overcome this. So I told him to go surf, meditated for 1 hour sort of. And then it was possible. I went in the water, I stood on the surfboard, and it was incredible. It was amazing. It was beautiful. It was, yes, another day I managed, right? So another day I took the decision to do that. So I kept on working on it. And back then, of course, because I could only work on it every now and then when I was traveling somewhere where I could scuba dive, So it was a long haul. I'm not going to say you're going to need that long. Like I said, if you take the decision, it's going to go very faster. I'm going to give you a second example in a minute, but I think it took me about from the first time scuba diving to the first time I actually went where I really could say this was like free of fear. It took me about 3 years. Like I said, it's back then, and if you only focus on it every couple of months, it takes a little bit longer. But so the thing is that so now I was able to scuba dive, and it's amazing. I'm so grateful that I overcame that fear, because it's one of my favorite places on this planet is scuba diving. So, but I still had one thing, and that was taking off the mask underwater. It's not necessary as a scuba diver to do that all the time. It's part of the training, and a lot of scuba dive base centers do sort of like a practice run with you when you go and when you're with them for the first time, because they just want to know if you're able to, not necessarily take it off completely, but at least, let some water in. And this is as a precaution, but because in case someone, in case you're swimming too close to someone else and someone knocks off your goggles, it's important for you to not panic, and come back up, but to learn to do that. So I decided I wanted to learn to take off the mask underwater, because it's something that keeps me less, how do you say, that still gives me a little stress underwater. So I decided I want to do that. I want to learn to do that. And I did that when I was in Thailand for 6 weeks. So I told the scuba instructor, and I was doing my advanced scuba, thingy with them to become an advanced scuba diver. And because I took the decision, I told them, and this is something, especially with fears, choose an environment where you feel comfortable, where you know you're going to have the strength to do something. So I did that with them, because I knew I trusted them, and it was good. And so the teacher took time to just focus on that with me. And I could have said no, but because I had taken the decision, I want to do this now. We're going to do this now. And I think we did 2 or 3 runs, and I managed. At the end, I swam 30 feet without goggles on, managed to put them back on completely. Ever since then, I practice it every time we go underwater. I have no trouble taking off the mask underwater anymore. It's like easy going, easy peasy. So what I'm trying to say is that making the decision that you want to make a change is very crucial. And trust that the solution will come. Because again, when you make the decision, you focus all your energy, everything towards that. And even if you don't have the solution right now, and even if you don't have the strength right now, if you make the decision consciously to make a difference, to make a change in your life, it's going to be a lot easier. You're going to find the courage, you're going to find the strength. Like I said, it might not be right away, but like I said, with the decision, you just refocus all the time. And to put it into things, because some of you were saying, or some of the people that answered the questionnaire were saying, we're reading so much, make the decision to finally get started, to finally start using all the things you've learned with either clients, with friends, or integrate it in your life. Make the decision to integrate it in your life. This is one of the things that I've learned over the past years of going into trainings. Whenever I went into a training and said, I'm making the conscious decision that this training is going to help me make a change, whatever that change is, whatever that process is, this is going to help me. Those trainings were amazing. If I just went like, oh yeah, I think I might need this, I think this might help me, it feels a little bit more fluffy, and it's a little bit harder. But if you make a decision, this is now I'm going to change things. It doesn't mean that that's going to be it, but by making the conscious decision of creating a change in your life, you're going to start calling in the solutions for it. That's why for me, this is like the strongest tool, because this is also something a lot of people, when I started traveling 3 years ago, a lot of people were saying, oh my God, you're so courageous. You're so courageous. But to me, it wasn't courage. I didn't have, I mean, yes, of course, I had courage to do it, but it only happened because I made the decision that I wanted to do it. Because I also realized for me, the actual courageous part was the years before, where I started to, to take on fears head on, right? But again, that happened because I made the decision to do it. That's why this is so powerful. If you can integrate this in your life to actually take conscious decisions to do things, you're giving purpose to everything you do. Because even if you take a day break in between, you're consciously making the decision, you're taking a break, so you don't have to feel bad about it. And this is something to practice. Make a decision and don't feel bad about it afterwards, because in that moment, that decision felt right, right? So if that decision feels good in that moment, it's great. And if you're in a different moment and if you want to make a different decision, then that's right in that moment. So beautiful. So I hope you like this. So this is the practice for today, is really actively decide things and stick to it and be fine with it. It's okay to make a decision, but it's also okay to change that decision afterwards. But we're going to get deeper into all those things a little bit further along. Let me go check what the next title is going to be. Oh, we're going to be talking more about fears in the next video. I'm looking forward to that because I love fears. Fears is something so beautiful, but I'll tell you more next time. I don't want to make this video too long. I hope you enjoyed the, oh yeah, and I'm going to keep on telling you stuff about Oktoberfest as well. But for now, I'm just going to leave you with this. I hope you can really be conscious about your decisions. That's going to help you. So if you want to take this as a practice for today, look at yourself, be mindful with yourself. Where are you taking what kind of decisions? And maybe just change the decision. Okay, talk to you soon and be well.